Truaillidh! There will be some massive games in the league this week as we are just a month and a half away from playoff time. There will be two 4-4 teams facing off in a big tiebreaker game this late in the season. There will be two of the top teams going at it for a chance to gain ground in the chase for the #1 overall seed or a first round bye, either one. We have multiple teams in must-win scenarios as well, and all of this while bye weeks and injuries are crushing our souls. And of course, we have a tale of two teams in our next Game of the Week! As the Siamese Dream Catz host Banditos del Rio at the Gardens of Liadan.
Gardens of Liadan is an area where the Queen called home before and after the Order of Light. The Queen was born here when it was a village and returned after ascending into a new consciousness. A line of trees mark a path on the outskirts of the gardens, and within the circle are areas of flowers and hedges and small waterways. This is one of the places in the wetlands of our own and was a resting place. A place where the Queen and other Sídhe within the Aes Sídhe could be safe and free to connect. It was a haven during the early days of the war as protections were cast around the paths of trees to ward off shadows and monsters. But like every safe place before it, Aes Sídhe does not stop until it all comes crumbling down. A gray-haired lady once popped in through an unexpected gate and was left in awe of the beauty in this area. A want and need to be lost within the mazes of the gardens is difficult to ignore. But while within the trees, the woman became hungry and decided to forage for food. Aes took it as an opportunity to defeat our defenses. Many aeons before, a semi-god named Òrdugh visited these lands carrying a cauldron that contained a mystery elixir, one that could claim life or give you eternal life. It all depended on your heart. Òrdugh came to the gardens to visit the Queen after a vision from the elders. As a gift, Òrdugh left behind a cauldron. Over the time, the cauldron was kept as a sacred symbol of hope that the Order of Light would prevail. It was left untouched within the walls, the trees. The cauldron of Òrdugh was of course perverted into a new relic though, one that contained an elixir that created an unstable flow between life and death. The gray-haired woman who was once named Liadan found the cauldron, was mesmerized by the concoction seemingly boiling inside. Taking a sip, a great beam of light opened up around her, trapping her between life and death, and between gateways, forever doomed to phase in and out like a ghost. Liadan can be spotted on Earth sometimes within the phases. The energy created from this moment caused a ripple that took down the Aes Sídhe defenses. Now the shadows had control and access. The Queen had no choice but to abandon these gardens, which were now a trap. The cauldron claimed many other souls in different ways, always trapping them between life and death. When one walks through this area, they may feel like they are not alone because of this. Of course, there are two players here amid the new war with the shadows, as the Siamese Dream Catz host Banditos del Rio in a matchup between two opposites, contenders and survivalists. As they struggle to find footing and to avoid the mind-controlling sense of this region, the cauldron of Òrdugh is in danger, becoming the symbol for the chaos.
Banditos del Rio is clearly the favorite in this matchup with a 72.7% chance to win. It has been a tough season for the Dream Catz, who have had injuries and players not living up to their draft potential. For a squad that tends to live and die by the draft, it means trouble when one of your top picks is not doing that well. Tony Pollard is one of these players, and the Catz will need Pollard to do something here. Aaron Jones is another one of those players, and the Packers should be leaning on his skill more with Jordan Love's struggles. And why is this big for the Catz? because Kenneth Walker and Alexander Madison are in tough situations for Banditos Del Rio. Walker goes up against a good run defense in Baltimore, and Madison has to take on Atlanta with a rookie quarterback going. This means that the Falcons will probably stack the box to take the running game away and force the rookie to beat them. This could be a big swing in the Catz' favor if Pollard and Jones step up. The only other question is Will Levis, who will play at quarterback for the Catz after they lost Cousins for the year. The rookie gets a short week and goes up against a good Pittsburgh pass rush. While Levis went off last week for a record rookie day, things might come crashing down here. It is important to know by how much, though, as Patrick Mahomes is on the other side looking to bounce back from a terrible game last week. Mahomes might be in a shootout against Miami and Germany. That also bodes well for Travis Kelce, while the Catz will need Kyle Pitts to reach the end zone, most likely to help. The Catz' other big need is for Drake London and Royce Freeman to outplay Josh Downs and Chris Olave. Downs and Olave do have the advantage, though Freeman showed some life last week. The Eagles get a tough test on defense, while the Falcons get to feast against a rookie quarterback, so that could be a big swing in Bandito's favor. Harrison Butker is an advantage for the Catz at kicker, with Blake Grupe on the other side. That leaves two players I'm looking at here, both wide receivers. For the visiting Banditos, I turn to Mike Evans of the Buccaneers. Banditos almost sent Mike Evans to the elite Mother Tuckers for A.J. Brown, which would have been a big early season trade. And I bet he wishes he pulled the trigger on that trade now because there was a second chance there. But Evans has still been very serviceable this season. He has 507 yards on 33 catches for 5 touchdowns. Evans has had a touchdown in 5 of his 7 games so far, which is a really high rate to sustain. He has had over 60 yards 3 times, with one big game coming in week 2 when he had 171 yards and a score against the Chicago Bears. The yards is what the Banditos should be worried about, as he was quiet against Buffalo last week before a late touchdown. Clearly, Evans needs to score to get into those double-digit points consistently, with 82 yards in Week 7 being his second highest total of the entire season. This week, he gets a Houston team that has allowed 2 touchdowns, just 2, to wide receivers, and an average of just 144.14 yards to teams' wideouts in any game, though they allowed the 2 highest totals to the Saints and Panthers wide receivers in the last 2 weeks. If Evans can once again reach the end zone, he will have a serviceable score that could help Banditos. But if he doesn't score again and the yards remain low, this dud could be an opening for the Dream Catz to surprise. The Catz, on the other side, bring us wide receiver C.D. Lamb of the Dallas Cowboys. Lamb finally broke out last week against a good Rams defense. He had 158 yards and 2 touchdowns and added 12 rushing yards. He also had over 110 yards 2 other times, in Week 2 against the Jets and in Week 6 against the Chargers. The 2 touchdowns tripled his total to 3 for the season, just 3. That's not, clearly the touchdowns has been what's been holding C.D. Lamb back. But he did have 12 targets last week after the bye, and the game plan could be shifting to make sure Dak Prescott gets Lamb involved early and often. And there is some good news for the Dream Catz. The Eagles' defense has been solid for much of the season, but they seem to have a weakness covering wide receivers. After Washington and Sam Howell torched the secondary last week, the Eagles have allowed 12 touchdowns to wideouts. They also average 191 yards allowed per game to wide receivers, with the Dolphins and the Commanders getting over 200 yards of offense from wideouts in the last 2 weeks. This was also the second time Washington had over 200 yards from the position this season, and the 4th time the Eagles' defense was beat by a team's wide receivers by so much. If Lamb continues to break out and he starts to reach the end zone more, this could be a huge boost for the Dream Catz and allow her to really push the Banditos here. If the Eagles are able to adjust and this becomes a low-scoring NFC East divisional game, the Catz will have a tough time making up points from this lost potential. Regardless, these squads might be in for some surprises this week, which could turn the projections into a wild fluctuation, especially after what happened to the Banditos last week. As for the rest of our league slate, there are some very good ones coming up in what could be a crucial Week 9 for many of us. My 3-5 Gashgia Sleuths travel to take on 6-2 Green Acres at the Bogs of Diomirach. Green Acres enters with a 57% chance to win depending on the defense put in the lineup. Bye weeks and another quarterback injury puts my Slews squad in question. The Mac Jones play is based solely on matchup, and the hope is that he can keep up with whoever Green Acres goes with at quarterback. Austin Eckler and Brian Robinson have a slight edge over Jonathan Taylor and Gus Edwards. Tyreek Hill versus Stephon Diggs will probably be very key here. Dalton Kincaid versus Dallas Goedert is another place to watch, and the Browns defense versus whoever Green Acres plays could be a big swing in this matchup as well. 2-6 Air Jordan travels to face 4-4 Risky Business in what is essentially a must-win for Air Jordan. Risky Business is in a bye-week hell with Christian McCaffrey not playing, and many moves must be made here. Even when taking the bench into account and potential moves, Air Jordan has a 60% chance to win at the moment. The trades Air Jordan made look to be a huge impact here, actually. Alvin Kamara and Derrick Henry are clearly going to be big guys to watch here. Air Jordan will also need Michael Pittman to step up. I see Dak Prescott versus Sam Howell as a key, and the Chargers versus Dallas defense is another place to watch. 4-4 the Stellar Bitches host 3-5 Low-Key Lebowski Thor. The Purple Skies of Dashe. Low-Key Lebowski Thor needs a tight end, but the computers are not kind to his team regardless, giving the Stellar Bitches a 90% chance to win. Joe Burrow versus Jalen Hurts is certainly key. Bijan Robinson versus Miles Sanders is an area Lebowski Thor needs some luck. Raheem Mostert versus A.J. Dillon in the flex, and the Dolphins versus Steelers defense are other places to watch. The 4-4 Multiple Scoregasms travel to take on 4-4 the Clashhead Demon Head in a massive contest that has tiebreaker and playoff race implications. The Multiple Scoregasms need a defense, but even with an extra 6 to 7 points in the projection, the Clashhead Demon Head still enter with a 65% chance to win. The Scoregasms need Minshew magic as Josh Allen is on the other side. Saquon Barkley versus Isaiah Pacheco is big as well, as is Adam Thielen versus Jamar Chase. DeAndre Hopkins versus Christian Watson will be another place to watch in the flex. Lastly, in our other de facto game of the week, 6-2 Remember the Titans hosts the 5-3 defending champion Elite Mother Tuckers at the GOFTA of the Highlands. Remember the Titans comes in with a 52.3% chance to win. Both of these teams participated in trades last week, but both of Remember the Titans pickups are on a bye. The Mother Tuckers are also without standout running back Travis Etienne, who is also on a bye. Justin Herbert versus Lamar Jackson, Josh Jacobs versus DeAndre Swift, A.J. Brown and Cooper Kupp versus Jalen Waddle and Puka Nacua, and the Ravens versus Saints defense battles are ones that will probably be the difference here. This could be a high-scoring matchup. This week should go a long way for many of our squads clinging to playoff hopes, and it could really give the teams at the top some space to work with as we get closer to getting back to divisional play. Some big things to watch are how the trades might assist or hurt this week. I mean, it should be fun to see how everything shakes out. And that's the show for the week. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll be working on some Sunday content soon to discuss how our draft is doing. This will come out in the next couple of weeks, and then some other fun Sunday segments will be coming soon after that. I hope to have an announcement next week of some specific Sundays when we're finally going to get this stuff going. Before you go, check out the updated power rankings. Until next time, salut.